Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are keeping safe and well. And today we will be discussing something very interesting and think very important. It's about minimum wage around the world. So let's decode how the minimum wage is around the world, and let's also understand what about the labor market. So recently, there is a report by Picodi, and they have covered 67 countries across different parts of the world. And based on their analysis, uh, I will be sharing some of the facts, and then we'll see how minimum wage is around different parts of the world. So the study includes 67 countries in which the minimum wage is set by government. Tax system in these countries can be very different, and the difference between gross and net income can range from 0% to as much as 35%. To make the comparison fair, Picodi used net wages, which is the money employees actually taking home. It's all about take home salary, take home remuneration, take home. And these other sources, you can go through these and get more details about. I have also captured some of the visualization from capitalist.com. And based on their visualization, I have included some of the facts in uh, this presentation. Now, moving towards this analyzing this report. Before that, let me introduce who am I. So I'm Vinod, and I'm not an economist. I have about 14 years of experience in development sector and policies, and I have graduated from National University of Singapore. Did my studies from MJP Ruhil University, and I am Bangalore, and also did some studies from MJP Bonn. Now you can see this map. If you can see clearly this map, in this map, if you look into out of the 67 countries, Australia has the highest minimum wage rate globally at AUD 20.33 per hour, and then it's followed by Luxembourg and the New Zealand. Western Europe and Australia have the highest minimum wage rates, while Africa and South Asia have the least one. We will also understand why this very high minimum wage in some countries and why low minimum wage in some countries. The minimum wage in India is only INR 20 per hour, equivalent to approximately USD 0.29. We might think that this is a very low, but there is a reason for being this low wage, minimum wage, and there's a reason for being a high minimum wage in India. So understand what's the minimum wage. So this reports talk about the minimum wage is that the purpose of minimum wage is to establish a baseline level for workers in a jurisdiction. Means if there is like a specific jurisdiction, in which it gives a baseline income that this is something minimum somebody needs to meet the basic needs, like food and housing. But this can also not be carried in many cases and at many places. If you understand minimum wage, it's mainly about in this report is about the food and the house. In this report, there are two outliners also, Argentina and there are regions that why these two outliners have increased their minimum wages by 100% or more from January 2022 levels. The reason is that Turkey is suffering from ongoing crisis, currency crisis, and then there was a earthquake. Uh, and then Argentina, South America's second biggest economy, is also suffering from very high inflation. So I will go back to this. As I said that in Australia, there is highest minimum wage rate globally. Uh, in India, it's 21 rupees per hour. Turkey and Argentina, they have increased their minimum wage by 100%. And then we have mentioned some situations. So minimum wage, if we look into the factors affecting minimum wage, one is cost of living. So if you compare the cost of living of India, the cost of living of Australia, there's a huge difference. And that's why the minimum wage in Australia is higher compared to the minimum wage in India. So it's one factor. And not only about Australia, in developed countries, the report says that developed countries have a higher cost of living and thus require a higher minimum wage to meet family two needs, food and housing. The thing is crisis and disasters. Like into Turkey, we have seen there was an earthquake and then the currency crisis going on. So this also leads to increase in minimum wage because if your currency value will be lower, then you need more money to meet the basic needs. Other factor which reports talk about is inflation. If there will be high inflation, if the product's prices will be higher, say like you're going to purchase a bread, and the price of bread is higher, then you need more money to buy that one packet of bread. Or if you want to buy a milk and the price of milk is increasing, then you need a more money to buy the packet of milk, either of a liter or a half liter. So when there is an inflation, you will find that you need a more money to meet your basic needs. The simple economics, as I said, I'm not an economist, but as a common sense, we need to understand. अगर मैं हिंदी में कहूँ तो इस चीज को कि महंगाई बढ़ेगी देन आपको जरूरत पड़ेगी कि आप जो ज्यादा पैसे खर्च करें एंड आप जो है ज्यादा पैसे चाहिए होंगे चीजों को खरीदने and then you need more money and that's why the minimum will increase. So we have seen in case of Turkey and Argentina that in Turkey there is a currency crisis and in Argentina there is in high inflation and because of that they have increased their minimum wage in last 1 year. Other thing which indirectly this report also talks about is labor law. So if you look into Australia, when we again go back and see Austria's minimum wage, which is high globally, which is AUD 20.33 per hour. Uh, one reason is also that in Australia, labor laws are very strong. They are implemented very strongly. Also, there are labor unions are there, act very strongly. So laws also play a very important and crucial role in deciding minimum wage. It doesn't mean that where minimum wage is low, it doesn't mean that the laws are not stronger. Again, I'm saying there are many factors to decide minimum wage. These are some of the factors which the reports talks about. We'll go to America. Most of us see America as a very developed country. But if you look into America, America's federal minimum wage has remained unchanged since 2009 at $7.25 per hour. Imagine from 2009 we are in 2023. There's no change in the minimum wage. So we can understand. I said these are the few factors this report talks, and I have limited my presentation, my discussion here around this report. So this report talks. These are some of the insights which I tried to find from this report, and I find it very interesting that how sometimes we see a very big number, then we say, okay, XYZ country has a very higher minimum wage, and ABC country has a lower minimum wage. We need to understand different solution. We need to understand different things. So it's just not the numbers. It's the different factors, like as we have seen, the cost of living crisis, disaster, inflation, labor laws, and the other factors plays an important role in deciding minimum wage. So that's all about this report in brief. I thought, and you can go to the link and read about this report. And it's interesting, especially when we see a labor market, when we talk about take home salaries or take home remuneration, take home money, how minimum wage is playing an important role, and how different laws are playing an important role in setting minimum wage, how cost of living in different countries is playing an important role. And then again, cost of living has so many factors, your production factor, your agriculture, your production in industries. So which industry you are stronger? Like example, Singapore has hardly any agriculture sector, uh, and the cost of living in Singapore is very high. It is one of the highest. Is one of the cities the highest cost of living is there. So we need to see different factors when we talk about minimum wage. We can also see this bifurcation, uh, even if we go from urban to rural or tribal pockets. We can see that in rural areas, cost of living is quite more than compared to the cost of living in urban areas. So situation, geographies, context, cost of living, inflation, crisis. There are many factors which affects minimum wage in different countries and in different geographies. So thanks to all of you. And if you want to write to me, feel free to write to me at this email, the world at the rate gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Twitter. uh, If you can log on twitter.com as development wala. Thanks. Thanks to everyone. And we will possibly meet next week.